Please leave this area open, please. Only authorized people here, please. Turkey out of Kurdistan!
Turkey out of Kurdistan! I want you to know that Alpo is every Kurd, and every Kurd is Alpo!
He is unknown to most Americans, but the arrest of Kurdish separatist leader Abdullah Öcalan is spurring outrage throughout Europe. Every place you see a circle today, there was a demonstration or a political action because a man named Abdullah Öcalan faces the death sentence because of the war he has waged against the Turks. And what has made Kurds even angrier today is the cooperation that Turkey apparently got from the Greeks in picking him up.
All across Europe, the Kurdish independence movement erupted in fury over the capture of its leader.
Why are we fight? It is because the Turks have decided to assimilate all the Kurds into Turkish culture, Turkish language, and for us to forget everything that we are about.
Listen, we've got to face the fact, and it's a very important fact, that Turkey is a critical strategic ally of the United States. Turkey is a member of NATO. It is not only surrounded by very hostile countries, but it is the one democracy in the area.
There's an armed insurgency going on, and Turkey is not going to let an armed insurgent group dismember a portion of their country.
The U.S. State Department says that these Kurdish guerrillas are terrorists. For their part, they say that they're fighting a war of national liberation for a united Kurdistan.
This is not a war against terrorism, this is a war against the Kurdish people. And although Turkey is trying to deal with the PKK, which is an armed group, their strategy for dealing with them is to indiscriminately kill people in the southeast of Turkey. That to me is not an anti-terrorism strategy, that is an anti-Kurdish strategy.
بس وبس.
Are we back in a good spot now? There.
Like a lot of journalists, I went to northern Iraq at the end of the Gulf War to cover the abortive Kurdish uprising against Saddam.
In Kishon, northern Iraq, this is Kevin McKiernan.
There was almost a traffic jam of reporters in Iraq, but only a few miles away in Turkey there was another Kurdish uprising that no one was reporting in the U.S. media. Kurdish villages were burning. Refugees were being driven from their homes by U.S. weapons, something I knew nothing about, and the war was spreading. I wanted to get the story. Who would have guessed back in 1991 that I was setting out on an odyssey that would take years and bring me face to face with guerrilla safe houses, backpacking trips behind army lines, and more than a few scrapes with the Turkish army.
Turkish tanks inside Iraq. Stop. Stop. No, you cannot. I'm an American citizen. You cannot arrest me here. This is Iraq. This is Iraq.
This is NBC. When I got home, there was a lot of interest in the Kurds of Iraq.
And they feel Saddam Hussein is still in power, and many of them are still living in tents in the mountains.
But the U.S. media didn't seem interested in stories about the hidden war in Turkey. At ABC Nightline, they said my footage was hard-hitting, even exclusive, but it was a no-go. Someone in the newsroom confided in me that the anchor didn't like the Kurdish story. At another network, the producer told me, it's just not on our radar. Back home in Santa Barbara, 7,500 miles from southeast Turkey, it all felt a little surreal. I was chock full of images, and some of them were horrible. Now, reporters don't just get the news, they're supposed to get the news out, and I couldn't even give the story away. But then I ran into the story again. There happened to be a Kurdish family in town, and they owned a Maytag appliance store where I ended up buying a refrigerator.
We are here to install a washer dryer.
Go do it.
Where is it?
It's right there. Come with me.
All right. They are simply the best machines there are.
And if you ask
The Maytag testimonials were great, but I wondered why the family had come to the U.S. I knew Kurdistan was the poorest part of Turkey, but I suspected there was more to it.
My uncle's village was evacuated, and military went there. They took some fuel and poured it on their house and put a match on it, right in front of my uncle's wife and his kids. And one of the soldiers started crying, one of the Turkish soldiers who did it, because he says the order came from the top. See, that I think is the problem. Why are you doing this to your own citizens? That they should let Kurds be Kurds.
Suddenly, a light bulb went on in my head. Maybe the story was in my own backyard.
This is Abdul. This is Connie. This is me. This is my mommy. This is my little sister. This is Mila. This is my father. And this is Ned.
The first to immigrate was Adam. He went from being a shepherd in the mountains of Kurdistan to a scholarship student at a high school in Pennsylvania. After graduation, he went to Penn State University. He applied for citizenship and became an American. The next to arrive in Santa Barbara was Connie, who graduated from college and started out in appliance sales.
The more features you have, the more expensive it gets.
Then came David. Soon the parents entered the new culture, followed by Abdul, Mila, and the youngest brother, Ned.
She doesn't like to call her. It has to be Kurdish, one of the Kurdish colors. It has to be red.
I get homesick enough and I actually go back and try to remedy that sickness now and then. The villages are gone. The home life, the clean water, the clean air, the simple life without too much saddling you has all but disappeared.
Because of the natural progression of time?
Because of unnatural oppression of one government over its population.
I cringe when I hear the interest in Tibet issue. And I say, what would it take us to interest the American public to the atrocities that are going on in Kurdistan?
A Kurd, isn't that somebody from some country that is either an enemy or somebody we're fighting for? A Kurd.
KURD, the radio station? Is it a musical group? Or is it just a language?
Kurds are Arabs. From Arabia somewhere, right? Good.
Actually, the Kurds aren't Arabs, although they are Muslims. It turns out that the Kurds are the largest ethnic population in the world without their own homeland. There are 20 to 25 million Kurds in the Middle East, and they spill over the borders of Iraq, Turkey, Iran, Syria, and the former Soviet Union. The majority of the Kurds live in Turkey, 12 to 15 million, or about 20% of the country's population. But their struggle in Iraq has been better publicized. Overall, the Kurds have lived for thousands of years as nomads, villagers, or in a loose federation of tribes in the Middle East. But there has never been a country called Kurdistan. To some scholars, the Kurds are the Native Americans of Asia Minor, the original people. In 300 BC, Alexander the Great wrote about the ferocity of the Kurds in battle. In the 12th century AD, the legendary Kurdish warrior Salah ad-Din saved Jerusalem from the Crusaders.